Okay. Minister, as my colleague Deputy Doherty has said, we actually debated this legislation 6 years ago when we introduced a similar piece of legislation around introducing interest rate restrictions. And at the time, as Deputy Doherty has said, the government turned down the legislation. And I remember actually contributing to that debate at the time. And one of the reasons which we were given was we needed to get more information on the consequences of bringing in an interest rate cap. We were told that there would be a number of unintended consequences which could flow from that. We would have to examine it more carefully, and there was a commitment to do so. We now have a situation where we're back 6 years later debating the legislation again, and we are now being asked by the government to postpone the reading of the legislation at second stage for a further 12 months. Now, you've had 6 years already, Minister, to look at all of this. You're now looking for another 12 months. You quote in your motion, which you're moving, that you need time to examine the University College Cork report entitled Interest Rate Restrictions on Credit for Low-Income Borrowers, which was launched by the SFF. That report was launched 12 months ago. So it's been sitting in your department for 12 months. And if you haven't studied it by now, then I don't have any confidence that you're going to study it within the next 12 months. And I would agree with my colleague that this is nothing but a fob. You have no interest in addressing this. You haven't done it in 6 years, you're not going to do it in another 12 months. When you have a report, a very comprehensive report, which I read myself this afternoon, it's not that long a report. It doesn't take 12 months to read and act upon it. It talks about all of the issues which you highlighted 6 years ago which needed to be addressed. For instance, the unintended impacts of an interest rate regulation. It goes into detail in the report in relation to that. It says there are 8 unintended consequences which could flow from an interest rate cap. It even ranks them for you, Minister. 2 are ranked as high impacts, 4 are medium, and 2 are low. It goes further. It tells you how you can actually address those unintended consequences to mitigate them or to eradicate them totally. It also even gives you recommendations. There's 8 recommendations in the report. The report goes beyond that. It looks at the reasons why people engage in legal moneylenders, why they don't look at other credit sources such as the credit union and various other low-income borrowing sources. And it goes into great detail in relation to that, around the convenience of these moneylenders, the doorstepping. You know, they arrive at your door, they collect the money weekly. It's a convenience issue. And it even addresses that if these didn't exist at all, what would those individuals who currently access legal moneylenders do in substitution for that? And it says 75% of them would go to their credit union or other similar credit providers. So the report is there for the last 12 months. I suggest somebody reads it in the department. I suggest you take on board the recommendations and you get on with this legislation, because to sit on your hands for the next 12 months is not acceptable. Because I have no doubt in 12 months' time, you still won't act on this. So, Minister, as Deputy Doherty has said, I hope that Fianna Fáil and other parties reject your amendment to it and that the bill is read a second time. And if it is read a second time, then don't engage in this carry-on about money messages and trying to hold it up at committee, because that is not in the interest of the people that this piece of legislation is trying to address. So, Minister, it's time to get the finger out. It's time to take action on this. 6 years has passed. We're not waiting another 12 months.